I made $35,000 in a single month by designing a propaganda machine. And I went from being in one of the most saturated markets, hoping post after post somebody would be convinced to buy, to using the market saturation as my advantage, going from a commodity to being positioned as a premium option, all while creating a simple, efficient system that forces strangers to adopt my worldviews and the beliefs that are needed in order to buy. Essentially creating propaganda, but for the greater good. The goal of this video is to show you this exact propaganda funnel that I built and for you to use it yourself so you can stop battling competitors and the algorithm and start standing out as one through a simple, efficient system that makes your coaching business fun and scalable. And by the way, I can guarantee you if you follow every step within this video, you can make upwards to $20,000 in your coaching business. There's like no way if you actually did all the steps you wouldn't. 2026 is going to be one of the last years to make it as an online coach. If you study economics and markets, you'll understand that the online e-learning space is in the consolidation phase. This is where the gap between the top dogs and the beginners really widens, making the middle class of coaches, those who are just normally earning 20K a month, just completely disappear. Right now, you are bombarded with claims, testimonials, information, and I was somebody who contributed to this as well. I would stay up late for hours crafting the perfect piece of content that fits every valuable information into the nooks and crannies of a 60-second clip. And I played the game of Instagram, views, likes, follows. And in doing so, my business was slapped in the face when it came time to converting leads into my program. And nobody was buying my program because I had the best information. Signing leads felt like a game of tug-of-war. I had to pull them over the line with promises and guarantees, or even beg for them to join, not the other way around as it should be. This made everything a nightmare later down the road. I worked with misaligned clients. I was required to build out complex marketing systems, and along with that, have very complex fulfillment systems. And during this time, I thought back to my previous successful business. So I started my done-for-you agency in the beginning of the wave of TikTok and posting clips on there. I was actually part of the first wave of bringing podcasters over onto TikTok. And I started this agency with a co-founder of mine. We were able to scale this up to $500,000 within a single year with relative ease. The crazy thing about it is all we were doing was charging for editing, scripting, and posting. And we were only making 30 videos a month for people and charging $10,000 a month. Now, if you guys don't know too much about agency land, you can't get away with that today. So many other companies have flooded the market and started to outclaim each other, make the offers better, and really became this pool of competition. Now you can get 1,000 clips for $2,000 a month, or even potentially less than that, because it's been so commoditized. And this vehicle of getting somebody towards the dream state that we were using essentially became dead, right? We were using service. Our service was editing, scripting, and posting, all to make somebody famous, gain followers, leads, and sales. And that became a dead vehicle because the market became way oversaturated, became a commodity. And commodities at the end of the day are just things that are largely produced and easy to get. Coffee is the number one example of this. If Starbucks tried charging more than $27 for some coffee, they're immediately going to go out of business. Largely produced, very easy to get. This, looking back at this, made me realize exactly what was happening in the coaching space. And it's that coaching is easily becoming a commodity. It already is. Coaching is a commodity. Yes, the market is expanding, and you can, right after the pandemic, it has been growing rapidly. And if you look at some reports, it says the online e-learning industry is expected to grow all the way to $1 trillion by 2028 or 2030. So it's expanding, but it's a double-edged sword because yes, the market needs to grow in order for people to make money. That is really, really important. And the idea of somebody paying for a transformation for their health, wealth, or relationships is never going to go away. But the other part, the other edge to the sword, is the more coaches that come in, the more people trying to coach other people, the more commoditized coaching becomes. People start competing on price, offer, and information. So knowing that people are always going to want to pay for a transformation, but coaching itself is becoming a commodity, all I needed to do was give my market a better, faster, and more guaranteed way of seeing success. So people aren't paying for the coach. They're not paying for me. They're paying for the pathway that I use that's better, faster, and more guaranteed way of seeing success. And that is what people want at the end of the day. Now, some of you might know that this is called a unique mechanism. It's the journey, the things that you do in order to get somebody to the dream state. So unique mechanisms aren't anything new. However, most coaches aren't using the real mechanism that sells their coaching. It's the hidden messaging system around this that the greatest info sellers and coaches use. And it makes any funnel work and also crush sophisticated and saturated markets. And that is a belief system. Now, before I get into how I create propaganda using a belief system and the machine around that, I want you to first understand the philosophies that I operate my coaching business on. You can choose for yourself if you like my philosophies and use that as a foundation to build your own coaching business on. So I've been in the info space for quite a long time. I've seen hundreds of ways to scale a coaching business, from vibe scaling to bro scaling, from different types of funnels, webinars, different strategies. I've helped coaches make $100,000 in a single month, and I've been a part of a team making $100,000 in a single day. However, if there's one thing that I learned in this space, there's multiple ways to skin a cat. Almost every strategy works, but I wanted to pick a system that worked for me and the things I wanted out of business and life. So here's the philosophies that I ran on to scale to 35,000 and what you can use as well to make 20K to 100K a month and have an elite business. And I know for a fact that these are going to lead me to $100,000 months for sure. So the first thing is sales calls. This has been a big topic in the space. Can you sell without a sales call? And for me, sales calls are a must. I just want you to know, if you've heard anything about selling in the DMs or selling with offer docs, this is extremely risky. This idea of selling without a sales call only works as a mechanism to sell. So the people that preach, hey, I can sell without a sales call, that fuels the sales because people want that thing, but it doesn't mean that they can do it for themselves. And the question for you that just plainly answers whether you should do sales calls or not is, do you know anyone that doesn't preach selling without a sales call that makes more than $20,000 in a single month on a high ticket offer? There is nobody. Only the people that promote selling without a sales call and sells that system do. So hopefully that makes sense. But sales calls are so important. This is the backbone of my propaganda because I learned so much about the person that I am servicing. I understand what I'm going to talk about a lot is their limiting beliefs and how to belief shift them. Number two is any funnel works. There is no such thing as a secret funnel. There are funnels that are better and more efficient than others, and I'm going to be showing you mine. And I believe, at least for the way that I operate my coaching business, it's the most efficient system that you can ever have. But in reality, all funnels work. It all comes down to messaging. The fourth here is simplicity over complexity. Okay, one person coaching businesses, however, is just completely dumb. We don't want to go that simple. Yes, I get it. It makes sense to have a one person business if you're making $1 million a year. The trade-off for working 12, 15 hours a day, trying to do everything for $1 million a year makes sense. But I'm here to build a business. I'm here for the long term. I want to buy my time back. And that really means having a small team. So I don't want to be bro scaling. I don't want 7 team members. I just want a simple system that brings in high quality leads on autopilot and sells them with my messaging, and a team of like 1 to 3 people for fulfillment or to buy my time back in life. And also, if you understand the one person coaching business model, you'd understand that's a mechanism that gets you to buy. I mean, it's very hard for a regular coach to do. You need team members. Okay, so simplicity over complexity, though, that still means a simple system that brings in leads on autopilot. So these are the foundations that I've built my $35,000 a month coaching business on. Now, let me tell you the exact shift that I realized is happening in the online coaching space and why creating what I call propaganda worked out for me and why I bet it will work out for you. So here's how everyone sells online. Buy my course. I can coach you. I will help you achieve XYZ. Here's all the benefits of buying my program. I noticed that all my competitors were doing this. It's promoting the endpoint. Endpoint marketing worked really well in the rise of the info era. But today, everybody knows the destinations, the promises, and the information to get there. And everyone also has testimonials. This is like entering a gym and 100 coaches come up to you, all offering for you to get jacked or shredded with them. And plus, on top of that, you know every marketing persuasion tactic that they use in order to get you to buy. Okay, Eugene Schwartz, one of the most famous marketers of all time, came up with the idea of market levels of sophistication, and it perfectly explains where we are at within the coaching market. So we know it's becoming commoditized, but that's because the market itself is becoming really, really sophisticated to all the endpoints, all the claims, all the crazy offers that people are making. And we're pretty much at a level 4 or 5, depending on what niche you are in. So the more crowded the market becomes, the more sophisticated it is, more skepticism is created in the viewers and prospects, and then less trust is developed from that. And this is something that's been going on. A lot of other people have been preaching this, is that we are in a trust recession, as you can see Forbes says here. Most people will tell you to get over this trust recession is by posting more, doing longer form content, spending more on ads, and providing more information and giving everything away for free. That is just more noise. The actual core cause of the lack of trust within the market and the information fatigue that people are experiencing with how-to value content is really the market having zero belief. Your audience doesn't know what offer to believe in, what promise to believe in, what person to believe in, and what piece of information online to believe in as well. And belief isn't built by necessarily doing more, what a lot of other coaches are preaching. Hey, now you have to do long form and all this other stuff. Yeah, that's beneficial, but you're missing the real mechanism behind creating great messaging that sells people. So it's built by using the right tools in sophisticated markets. And this is something that Eugene Schwartz talked about a lot. And this is a belief system. So knowing how today in the coaching market, it all comes down to messaging, I went in a spiral looking into everything about sales psychology and how to persuade people. And it led me to finding out what the greatest marketers used in the 1900s. And it's also been passed down from generations and used by a few people I'm going to point out in a second, the top marketers in this space. And I've been taking this and modernizing it for what I'm building. And this is crafting that belief system. So at the core of this machine that you see here is the belief system that I created. This isn't anything new. It actually came about through one of the greatest propagandists in the world, which is Edward Bernays. Edward Bernays was considered the master of propaganda. And actually, he was the nephew of Sigmund Freud. Yes, the Sigmund Freud who would use psychology and all of his techniques to help people overcome depression, anxiety, and everything else when it comes to mental illness. He was his nephew, and he took his learnings and used them for marketing to put politicians into power. He even got women to smoke and convinced people to let wars happen. Now, Edward Bernays called this engineering consent. And it started off with 1, shaping the market's perspective by implanting beliefs. Number 2, you then give them a new way to solve their problems. And then the third thing is you create a solution, aka your product or service, that feels like a logical next step. And in the middle of this is frictionless conversion. Because when somebody believes a solution will get them to their desire, the action of purchasing inevitably happens. And I'm not the only one who is using this. To be clear, the biggest person in this space talks about this all the time. And he has a thing where he says, the more you teach, the less you sell. And if you look into Russell Brunson, if you know him, ClickFunnels guy, he would spend the first 2 hours of a 3-hour live event presentation convincing and installing the beliefs that would make his offer the logical next step. So he wouldn't teach in his presentations. He would just give you reasons to believe that the thing that he's going to pitch you on is going to help you achieve wealth. Iman Ghazi, another really great example of this. He would rewire audiences' beliefs that starting a social media marketing agency is the best way to get rich. And this is how he initially came up. Now he's promoting other stuff. Dan Koh shifted your beliefs that you don't need a large team to create a business. You can have a one-person business, and it's all built on you writing emails. He rewired your belief into that, and it made buying his program, the one-person business, the logical next step. Joe Dispenza, another person who entered a very saturated market, which is health and wellness, he completely exploded by shifting your beliefs that illness isn't fixed or a genetic issue, it's an internal mind issue. So he blended science and spirituality stuff as a mechanism for change, getting you to believe in his process. And that's the one way he was able to just absolutely explode within his market, even though it was saturated. And even one of the greatest info sellers of all time, Alex Hormozi, uses this. And he used it recently when he did over like $10 million, whatever it was, in a single day selling his book. If you studied his live presentation for this, you would realize that 80% of this presentation was convincing you what was in the book is valuable, because this could be the greatest offer in the world, just like a lot of people are claiming to do on social media. I can help you lose weight. I can help you make money. It can be a great offer. But if nobody believed in it, if nobody believed that what was inside the book actually had value, then they would never purchase it. So belief implanting is the real hidden mechanism behind funnels and content that generates money. And I have been modernizing this, refining these persuasion principles to fit the landscape of today's coaching market. So and within 2 months, I was able to make roughly about $70,000. And I've taken this and modernized these belief shifting persuasion principles to use for myself to grow to $35,000 a month, as well as other coaches to add additional $20K in a month. Not only has it worked with me, but it's worked for a lot of coaches in my one-on-ones who have very tiny accounts, but become respected leaders and authorities within their niche, ultimately giving them a micro coaching cult business, but with large profits. Okay, so a belief system is made up of 2 different parts. Number 1 is the unique mechanism. And this is something that we've touched on in the beginning of this video. It's creating a better, faster, and more guaranteed way for somebody to see success. It's the journey that they go on, not the coaching. It's your system. So for me, this was creating the propaganda machine, a funnel that injects high quality leads into an ecosystem, forcing them to consume your belief system that knocks down all objections. Okay, so once you have this, the second part becomes the messaging around the mechanism and the offer that you have. So it's not making these claims that your mechanism's so great. It's building the belief, the shifting of the beliefs, crushing limiting beliefs that gets somebody to fully be invested into wanting to use your mechanism. And this transforms the way that you approach content. The difference between a how-to and belief-shifting content is the difference of how you teach a man to fish. Step 1, bait the hook. Step 2, cast the reel. Step 3, wait. Versus showing a person a hidden pond that only you know about that has a lot of fish in it and how much easier it will be for them to catch the fish. The first one, anyone can teach. Go to ChatGPT. It will tell you exactly the step-by-step how to fish. The second becomes a perspective shift that positions you as an authority, and it gets people to want to pay for access. So no longer did I approach content by competing with everyone in the market on bringing the most valuable information in a unique way or twisting the words of somebody else to make it feel like my words. Most of my content became belief shifting. They were all a doorway towards the larger belief that I needed to knock down in order to get rid of objections, skepticism, and build trust. So while 99% of coaches are offer marketing, they're teaching about their vehicle, the frameworks, giving more information, the value content, the how-tos, everything that's inside, they're giving that away. The best, the top 1%, sell the belief in their system first. This is where you go from just another coach in a bucket of coaches to an authority, flipping people's paradigm. So now that I had the messaging down that would give people the paradigm shift into my system, my mechanism, and this is, what I'm doing right now, then it came down to actually systemizing it. I could post all I wanted, but if there wasn't an efficient, cost-effective, leverageable system that would consistently give my leads this new belief system, the propaganda, then it wouldn't work, because if somebody hears one thing once, it just bounces off of them, especially in this information age. I needed consistent exposure. This is what led me to creating the propaganda machine. This machine does 80% of the selling for me. Now, I'm sure you hear all the time the argument of ads versus organic. The truth is, both of them make you a slave to the algorithm. I've figured out the only variable I can control is my messaging system. So without that, I can't stress that enough, without your belief system in place, no matter what ad, organic content, VSL, whatever you run, is just gonna fall flat. But right now too, social media is going through a big shift. Views don't necessarily equate to dollars, and the algorithm can pinpoint the exact person you need to target. But I still hated this idea of relying on organic, because the more that you rely on organic, the more you become in tune to how many followers you're getting, the likes that you're getting, and this is bad for the psyche, and also is just way too inconsistent. But also, just running ads doesn't give you everything that you need in order to fully turn a stranger into a buyer before they even come to the sales call. So with all this in mind, I built what I thought was the most efficient, effective way to scale a coaching business. It's comprised of 3 steps that all form an ecosystem. Here's how it works. So the first step I created is the injection system. This is what gave me the consistency that I'm looking for in a very cost-effective manner. And it's comprised of really 2 things here. Number 1, simple ads. And then number 2, simple organic. And how we're doing this is through short form content, either a low ticket, which I'll explain in a second, and using lead magnets. And we're running either profile ads or low ticket ads. And the point of this is to get a high quality lead into the ecosystem, because I'm only optimizing for high quality leads. And to do that, the things I'm talking about is not necessarily what's going to solve every single problem that they're experiencing. No, what I talked about is things that would wake them up, shake them out of the trance that they're in and their frustrations that they had today, and providing the wants that they want today and the painkillers that they wanted today. It's not about selling them on your entire belief system mechanism just yet. You're introducing them to the ideas. And like I said, you're just injecting them into your Instagram profile. So I would use these profile ads and also low ticket. And I use my belief shifting ads frameworks to get all these high quality leads, as well as my mini VSL frameworks for organic content. So for the profile ads, it was just simple $20 a day ads that injected the quality leads and gave them a reason to follow. Now, most people who run profile ads do not run them right. Like I said, they're trying to sell them on the whole program, but they're not giving them a reason for them to follow today that is going to solve their pains. And when you do that, you get high quality lead injection, you get consistency, and you get efficiency. So you can run this at $20 a day. Now for the low ticket, this is a little bit more advanced, but it also injects somebody into your propaganda a lot quicker, because when somebody buys, they're more likely to become a full-on client of yours because they go through the thing that they just bought, they see you more, they adopt your worldview, how you do things more. It's really easy. It's nice, and you get a ad liquidation from this. So I was able to make this close to profitable on the front end. Some days we were profitable, but it's really to liquidate your ad spend, get more people injected into the propaganda machine, not necessarily sell them right away, and let the machine, what I'm going to talk about, and let the second part do most of the selling for you. Now, this is advanced. For the people that I help out, we generally stray away from the low ticket unless you're a type of person who can handle this and knows already how to kind of run ads. But really, just with a good profile ad strategy with great messaging, as we know, is what's going to inject that high quality lead. And then we use step 2 to then really give them the propaganda. This is where the propaganda really happens, where you're taking that cold lead, making them super warm through a retargeting ecosystem. Here I'm doing 3 things that are required in a sophisticated market to make myself stand out and really be a market of one and build a micro coaching cult. And I've actually studied cults. I have a few videos about this. I've looked into why people join them, and I've looked at the creators that already have well-established cult-like audiences and came up with this system here. Now, like I said, the middle funnel is where a lot of people in this space will tell you to just create more content, more long form, hit the 7-11 4 rule. Now, that is all, good advice, but this doesn't fully combat the trust recession that we're in. You need to have the key triggers that convert people. So with the middle funnel, we're accomplishing 2 things. Number 1 is propaganda for the belief system. Number 2 is propaganda for selling us as the coach. I'll cover number 1, which is the propaganda for the belief system, really quickly because I've already went over it. But here we're using a mixture of retargeting ads, organic, story sequences, long form, all in order to knock down the one core belief, which is our mechanism is the better, faster, and more guaranteed way of seeing success. For me, that was creating a lot of belief shifting content around running ads, having great messaging, how to run a business, being a CEO, investing into programs and things like that. All of these fed into the major belief. And this belief shifting content is all designed to make you look like an authority. When you change somebody's perspective, you rewire their brain, and people then have this bias towards an authority. This is all much, much deeper than any how-to video that you can create. Here, I'm also using simple ManyChat systems to integrate someone into my propaganda machine even further. I'm pushing them towards longer form videos that are even more so designed to crush limiting beliefs, shift beliefs into my system, and occasionally sell me as the coach. Which brings me to the second missing link that other coaches have and that I've began to develop really well. And that's selling the audience on you as the coach. People buy the coaches, not the coaching. Half the battle is getting them to believe in your method, but the other half is getting them to believe into you. Here, I'm really doing 2 things. Number 1 is building massive trust. Number 2 is connection content. In a space of people creating AI content, stealing from each other, doing this really lowers your status. No longer does being a how-to expert create the reciprocity factor where someone feels like they need to invest into you. I realized that this was so important when even myself, I ended up investing into a mentor, not because he gave me great information. Sure, he had that, but because he played Minecraft with his fiance. This connection piece created more trust, more of a reason to invest into him than any how-to piece of content ever did. This is all about standing out and what makes you unique within the market. So the way I do this is by creating content for my dream follower, not my dream client. The other content where you propagandize somebody into your belief system, this is all created for the dream client. You want a qualified person to believe in your method. But the dream follower content is the hidden communication that brings in an ideal person who would get good results inside your program, be a joy to work with, and they would be your friends in real life. When I started doing this, I never enjoyed working with people more than I ever have. So to attract a dream follower, I'm talking about a few different things. Number one is beliefs. This is not belief shifting, but these are the things that I believe in as a whole when it comes to worldviews, seeing success, operating a business. Number two, these are the values that I withhold in my life, and I talk about them. Number three is talking about my mission. A mission gives somebody a reason to follow me. It makes you a leader. It congregates other people. Number four is the identity that I have. I'm using my identity to shift their identity and showing them what a successful person looks like who is similar to them. I would use these elements throughout my organic IG reels, my stories, and sometimes even in my YouTube videos. This connection piece sells my audience of me being the one who's capable of coaching them. So with this connection piece, now I'm also building massive trust by retargeting everybody with ads. So pinpointing the exact quality lead and showing them the thing that's going to build massive trust, which is a ton of testimonials. These show up in my audience's feeds every day, and it really becomes a machine of testimonial, my beliefs, connecting with them, how I see things, the belief system I want them to have. Okay, so once I fully propagandized everybody with simple long form and simple retargeting stuff with great messaging in it, now it's time for conversion, the order up. Ultimately, what I'm trying to achieve here is just getting somebody to raise their hand, because at this point, they should pretty much be sold on what I'm doing. Now, there's a little secret thing that I'm using that sells people before the call that I don't think much people talk about, at least in terms of using it in a system like this. And what it is just a simple resource page and simple sales. So to get people to raise their hand, I'm creating a 4-minute mini VSL. And I also have a setter in place. I'm running retargeting ads, and I have a resource page for in between someone booking a call and someone showing up to the call. On this resource page, what I'm using the conversion mechanisms is once again, my belief system, giving them case studies and a fact section that handles objections and skepticisms. So what this looks like is a VSL like this. I'm retargeting everybody in the ecosystem, hitting the most aware individuals who are just on the edge of converting. Once they see this, watch the 4-minute VSL, it gets them to essentially raise their hand, book a call with me. Now, when they're booking that call, I'm sending them a resource page just like this. And along with that, I have a setter who is just managing messages and booking people in consistently through the DMs. As this is going on, once again, people are being hit with my retargeting ads that is propagandizing them, and also my organic and also my long form. So we're sending out simple messages that nurture people, even pushing them to YouTube. So by the time they see this retargeting ad, man, it's over. Or they just end up booking a call off of YouTube or in the DMs of Instagram. So it's really this ecosystem. And in the VSL, I'm using my mini belief shifting VSL framework. I'm doing my DM to close frameworks and using my resource page frameworks. So for the retargeting VSL, I'm running this at $50 a day, and I'm just reselling them on the belief of my mechanism with this resource page. This is then positioned as a must watch before the call. They don't watch it, I don't hop on a call with them. Because why? This handles all skepticisms and objections for them. And so how we're getting our prospects to watch the stuff inside the resource page, we tell them that this is their benefit to go through it, to make sure that the call is worth their time. I mean, if you just want to see it, book a call, I'll send that to you. You'll see exactly how it works. And this is a little bit of sauce that most people don't have. So setting this up correctly is really, really important. Okay, so to just quickly overview everything again, this is the entire machine that turns strangers into buyers without having to go viral, without having a large audience, without having too much complexity, and keeping the key elements that most coaches miss. It's the belief shifting, the connection, the identity shifting, and having retargeting ads that force feed quality leads my propaganda. And finally, the icing on the cake is that resource menu that obliterates any objections before somebody comes to the call. Now, I can't talk about what got me to $35,000 a month without talking about this last part here, which is the CEO identity. This is actually one of the things that held me back the most. My business was a delayed reaction of my inner game. I felt like a leader that could help others transform. I was really good at marketing, but I wasn't a leader inside my own business. And after growing my business and working with amazing coaches, I realized by far this is the number one thing that holds people back. Most of the time, it's not a missing system, a strategy, or a content piece. Most coaches know the system. They know they need to implement. And same with myself. But the problem is the inner dialogue and decision making is weak. For me, it was this constant battle of doing the exact things that I know I needed to do, but for some reason, they weren't working out. It's because in the beginning of my journey, I haven't adopted that CEO identity. And a coaching CEO is somebody who operates with professionalism, making sharp decisions, moving quickly, and gaining momentum by taking action. They're also a leader in every aspect of their coaching business: sales, marketing, team building, you name it. And here's the thing, CEO coaches don't try to delegate their fears, which was something I was doing at the time. More often than not, we hire an appointment setter or a closer, or we get somebody to run ads for us because we're scared to do the work of actually figuring it out ourselves and the rejection or the failure that comes with all that. When in reality, delegating these things that we're scared of doesn't give us the full control to build the business we want. And I had to learn this the hard way. I too was in this competitor analysis mode, searching for a secret, skipping the work, starting and stopping, and having this money in, money out syndrome. This is what I really call like the chaos zone. When you get to around like 5K, in between 5 to 30K, it's chaos. Getting to 5K is relatively simple. You just follow a straightforward path. But in this chaos zone, you start to funnel hop, you start to consume things and never really take action, overthinking and expecting someone else to have this magical key for you, right? Like they built the perfect thing for you to get you to your goals. That's a little ridiculous. What needs to happen in that area is for you to take somebody's system and adapt it to what you're doing. And I stayed in this zone for a little bit. And one of the ways that got me out of it and started to operate like a CEO, it was to stop basing my decisions on how I felt and started to base my decisions on logic. It's like dropping you into a forest and telling you to find the red house. Okay. How are you going to find the red house? You're going to start, basing the decisions in what direction you go off of on how you feel. But if I gave you a GPS, that gives you the logical decisions you need to make, the turns, the direction that you need to go in order to find the red house. So most coaches, like myself in the beginning, were operating on how I felt. And the GPS in our case is tracking. Tracking is the quintessential thing to make educated decisions for your business. Otherwise, you're driving drunk. This was something that I had to learn the hard way. And after being religious with tracking, it made scaling so much easier. Even putting in this propaganda machine, I understood how much I needed to spend in order to make the amount I wanted to make. I understood what the conversion rates for a book call, how much I should spend for a book call, how much it costs for a quality lead, how many DMs does my appointment setter need to send in order to get a book call. Most coaches want to get to the $35,000 a month goal or to 100K, but they don't know the GPS and the numbers that go along with that to get there. So I invented a tracking dashboard for myself, and I use that a lot in determining, should I scale this ad? Should I be sending out this amount of messages? Is this machine actually working? And so that's how I began to develop my CEO identity. There's a lot more that I can talk about that goes with this. I'll make some more videos on it, but I really help out my students now achieve that CEO identity because that's the one thing that holds them back. I can give them this machine that works flawlessly, in my opinion, but if they themselves don't execute properly, it will never work out. Okay, so let's zoom out. This is a long video. Let's tie it all together. I didn't make $35,000 in 30 days because I posted more, went viral, or had better tactics to give. I did it because I stopped competing in saturated markets and I started to engineer belief. Most coaches sell their outcomes, and I realized in sophisticated markets, Outcomes do not sell anymore. Belief does. So I built the propaganda machine. At the core is a belief system, and that reframes your ideal audience on why your method is better, faster, more guaranteed way of seeing success than all your other competitors, making you a market of one. Then I ended up systemizing that belief. We have a great message, but I needed to have it show up consistently in front of ideal leads. So step one, I attracted the right people with belief shifting ads and content, talked about their frustrations today, and gave them the things that they wanted today. Step two, I ran them through the retargeting ecosystem. This is where I took them from a strange cold lead to a pretty well warm toasty lead, you can say. Here I'm really showcasing my propaganda. I'm installing the belief system and selling me as an authority behind it through connection pieces, identity shifting content, as well as using longer form to integrate people into my propaganda even more with retargeting ads that has me consistently showing up in their feed, developing massive trust. Step three, once the beliefs are solved, they're a very hot lead and we're just getting them to convert by raising their hand. Here I'm using a setter with just simple messages, my chat to close systems that get them on a call, and along with a retargeting ad that might hit them with a 4-minute VSL that gets them to raise their hand, book a call, and even before the call, I'm sending my resource menu that is just the icing on the cake so that by the time that they show up to the call, all their objections are handled, and it's really just about, hey, let's get you onboarded. If you want to see that part in action, all you have to do is book a call and you'll see my resource page. So this is ultimately the system I built for no chasing, no convincing, and no hard selling. And then the final piece to this was my own propaganda for myself, transforming into a coaching CEO, making fast decisions, educated decisions on logic, not how I feel, and stopping any fear-based delegation and knowing what to scale when, knowing what to implement at the right time, which a lot of coaches mess up. And if you want to know what to build at the right time, what to implement, what things are working well, what things need to be fixed, then book a call with me. We'll just see if we're a great fit and if this machine is really best suited for you and your coaching business. So with that, that is the whole propaganda machine, and I will see you in the next video.